Pour a cup of coffee and wake the kids. It's the Central Ohio High School Showcase with Derrick Owens Jr. Now here's your host of the COHSS, D.O. Jr.
Good morning. What's good, everybody? How y'all feeling? Welcome to the COHSS, the Central Ohio High School Showcase. Your man, Derrick Owens Jr. Hey, we are at the halfway point of the high school football season. And boy, oh boy, if this is the start to the second half, what we had last night, if this is what we're going to have as we enter the playoffs, we are in for a special treat for all the high school football fans around Central Ohio and the state of Ohio. Central Ohio is bringing nothing but fire. We got some of the best teams in this entire state right here in our backyard, and it's awesome to see. What a night last night. As you know, we do our Pick Six here every week, every Saturday, and it was some barn burners in those Pick Six. What a night last night. Pick Central versus Hilliard-Davidson. Classic. Pick North versus Dublin-Kaufman. Classic. Westerville Central and Gahanna, a 1-point game. Eastmoor versus Walnut Ridge. Instant City League Classic. I was there last night. I know everybody's a little winded from last night. All the games got off to a slow start due to the weather, but everybody got it in. Everybody was safe, and I'm so happy because what a night it was. Today we have some guests. Last week you seen him from Ohio Elite Prep Magazine, TJ Walters. He's going to join me again for the Pick Six as we run down some of the best games in the state last night. And also, special guest from Pickerington Central, who was on field for one of the best games in our rivalry between Hilliard-Davidson and Pick Central, Jameer Jackson, running back. And we're going to talk to him about just how it was last night, getting the huge win, 2 state-ranked teams, number 3 in the state versus number 5 in the state, just what it was like out there. They pulled out the victory, and he's going to join us on the COHSS to talk about it. And, you know, we'll talk to Jameer about just his athletic background and his style of running and what he brings to the table for Pick Central, defending state champion Pick Central Tigers. So that'll be fun, and that's coming up later in the show. Thank you for rocking with us. If you're on Facebook.
Yeah, let me jump in here before we move along into your score rundown. Let me just start by saying good morning, Central Ohio. Hope everyone's having a great start to their morning. The beautiful thing about what we're doing here, streaming live on social media, is that you guys, the viewers, can interact with us. We want your comments. We want you to shout out where you're watching from.
Yes.
Shout out your schools. Chime in on what transpired last night.
Yes.
And also, as a reminder, if you didn't realize, we're at a new time today. We're at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So make sure you tune in every Saturday for the best high school sports reactions and student showcases.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's my guy, Producer G. Good morning. How you doing, G?
I'm good. Thank you.
Hey, as we do every Saturday, the COHSS score rundown. I'm just going to let you know all the winners and losers from last night's games. No losers, man. Everybody out there having a good time. It's high school football. But there were teams that were victorious, and we're going to run them all down for you. Let's get started. Delaware, 31. Dublin-Scioto, 45. That was a big game for both teams. Delaware came in undefeated. Dublin-Scioto knocks them off 45-31. Hilliard-Darby, 14-7 over Dublin-Jerome. Hilliard-Bradley. Hey, Hilliard-Bradley got some talent over there. They lost a lot of talent last year, but they are back. 52-15 over Thomas Worthington. Worthington-Kilbourne gets the victory over Olentangy-Berlin, 31-13. Beechcroft versus East High School. East High School was looking to win their 3rd game. That would have been so fantastic for those young men over there. They fall to Beechcroft last night, 15-12, but they're playing better. And shout out to that coaching staff over there at East High School. Westone gets the victory, 36-0 over Lyndon McKinley. Northland, they beat up on Mifflin last night, 54-12. Independence gets the victory over Afrocentric, 56-0. South, they lose to Eastmoor last week, 47-6, but they bounced back with a big victory over Briggs, 48-0. And, you know, you already know I went to South. We talked about that. But, look, they are right there on the outside looking in when it comes to the computer points that were released last week. I think they came in at, like, number 11 in their region. So it's a lot to play for. A lot to play for over at South High School. Shout out, Coach Yates. What's up, man? Marion Franklin, 47-0 over Columbus West. Again, Marion Franklin, that's going to be a team that not only South, but Walnut Ridge, a team that we're going to talk about next, they're going to have to tangle with Eastmoor throughout the City League as we get to the end of the year. But a game on our Pick Six that I was at last night, again, we got TJ Walters from Ohio Elite Prep Magazine coming on here in a few. He was there last night. It was a great game, great atmosphere. Eastmoor pulls out the victory on the last play of the game, 26-20. We'll talk about it more in the Pick Six. That was a great game. Grandview gets the victory over Bexley, 35-13. Bloom Carroll with the 31-20 victory over Hamilton Township. Tays Valley, 54-0 over Logan Elm. Worthington Christian gets the victory 40-18 over Grove City Christian. Harvest Prep, they lost Daniel Bangura last year. They lost Isaiah Mullins last year, who's up in Wisconsin. They keep the train rolling, 38-0 over Zanesville Rosecrans. Harvest Prep ranked in the state. You're going to be hearing from them as we get through the year. Another game that's going to be in our Pick 6, Gahanna versus Westerville Central. Gahanna gets the victory by a point, 14-13. That was a big game for both of those teams. They both needed it. Another game in our Pick 6, Pick Central versus Hilliard-Davidson, 17-14 in overtime. Wow. Another game in our Pick 6, Dublin-Kaufman. I feel a mild, but an upset over Pick North, 31-28. Dublin-Kaufman was dealing with some injuries. We'll talk about it more in our Pick 6, but to me, a huge victory between two stain-ranked teams. Pick North was number 4. Dublin-Kaufman was coming in at number 10. They're going to be moving up rapidly. Believe that. Reynoldsburg, 28-0 over Westerville South. They just keep on doing what they're doing. They're getting better defensively. They're solid, if not better than that on offense. They just keep rolling along, 28-0 over Westerville South. New Albany, 30-18 over Olentangy. Olentangy Liberty, 30-0 over Groveport. Another game in our Pick 6. And I didn't even know this when I put this game on the Pick 6. Olentangy Orange over Westland, 41-12. But there was a bigger story in that game. We'll get to that later when we get into the Pick 6. You want to stick around for that. Hartley, they play one of the toughest schedules in the state, regardless of division. Shout out to Coach Birchfield over there. They take a tough loss last night to Clinton Massey, but Clinton Massey is one of the top teams. Look, it's I know about this team. Just my brother played at London, and we used to have to go travel and play these teams, but they play a physical brand of football. I'm sure that Clinton Massey and Hartley played this game in the phone booth. They get the victory. Clinton Massey does 34-31 over Hartley. But both of these teams will be around when we get to the playoffs. No question about that. That game is in our Pick 6. We'll talk about more about that. Washington Courthouse, 29-14 over St. Charles. Cleveland Benedictine over Watterson, 17-14. Reedy gets the victory. They've played like 4 games, or they're playing 4 games at the Fortress. They like it there, 35-7 over Liberty Union. London over Circleville. This is not a misprint. 80-7. And I'm just going to give you one stat from this game. KJ Price, running back, London. 4 carries, 210 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 quarter. I'll say it again for you real quick. 4 carries, 210 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 quarter. Let that sink in. Granville, 40-0 over Utica. Lincoln Heights, 28-21 over Newark Catholic. Johnstown, another tough team, not directly in our Central Ohio area, but right on the outskirts. They're a tough out, ranked in the state, 38-7 over Watkins Memorial. And that's going to wrap it up for the Pick 6, man. But I'm sorry, we ain't got to the Pick 6 yet. That's going to wrap it up for the COHSS score rundown. I'm just anxious to get to the Pick 6. What a night it was last night. We had some tremendous performances and games. And without further ado, man, let's get into it.
Before we move along, let me just thank everybody who might be tuning in here this morning for the first time. If you miss anything, you can rewatch it when we're finished here. We're here from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., so you can tune back in if you miss anything. Also, you can catch the audio portion on SoundCloud and iTunes as well. It's the COHSS Central Ohio High School Showcase live streaming podcast every Saturday morning, 10 to 11 a.m. Devontae Sherwood chimes in on our Facebook Lives. He says, "How about them dogs go south? Woof, woof."
Hey, Devontae Sherwood, man. Quick story about Devontae, man. Before I was in the media, I was a coach. I coached Devontae Sherwood at South High School. A tremendous athlete. Tremendous. He was an all-state running back on a team that, frankly, had its, some ups and downs, but he was definitely a shining star on that team. Great running back, great track athlete. Thank you, Devontae, for checking in, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, thanks for that comment. And make sure you guys who are watching right now, get your comments in here for shout-outs. Let us know what school you represent. Let us know what you think about what happened last night. Get your comments in so we can give you them shout-outs.
Yes, please. Comment, like, share, the COHSS. So let's get into it, man. The COHSS Pick 6 games of the week. It was, I thought it was, I can't believe this first game. Let's get into the first game, man. Westland versus Olentangy Orange. We're going to bring in here to TJ Walters, man, from Ohio Elite Prep Magazine. I thought that Westland, they've had some down times on their program, and I thought this was kind of a game that they could maybe sneak up, upset a team like Olentangy Orange, a big team, a big name, and kind of give them some momentum, going out through the rest of the year. But unexpectedly to all, at least I didn't know this going into it, but Olentangy Orange has one of the best players in America, Zach Harrison. If you don't know about him, Google Zach Harrison, 6'6", 235 pounds, runs like the wind, one of the top 5 players in America, being recruited by Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, you name it, they know him. And he had been dinged up early in the year, didn't know if he was going to play really all year, but he was back in a big way last night as Olentangy Orange gets the victory over Westland. But he had 4 catches last night for over 100 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and man, I mean, if this would have been earlier, I don't know. But TJ, I want to bring you in, man. You had a chance to see Westland earlier in the year. I want to just talk about them for a minute. They didn't get the victory, but some young talent over there. And then I want to just ask you about Zach Harrison, man, what he brings to the table. But let's talk about Westland for a minute.
I mean, I think they're a young team. They just, they just got to figure things out and put some pieces together. They had a lot of key losses and stuff from last year. So they're kind of in a rebuilding mode right now. So, and they have to find their identity, and once they establish that, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, Coach Rios, he's a early coach over there, and just early into his 10th year, and I believe he's had them playing well. Man, they had some victories. They played some teams close. They played Marion Franklin close in the beginning of the year. A lot of people didn't think that they would get that victory or play a team like that very close. So there's some signs of life at Westland. I like to see them turn that program around and contend against some big-time teams here in these next couple years. But as far as Olentangy Orange, man, look, their quarterback, Robbie Dayhoff, he threw 5 touchdowns last night. But I can only imagine what it's like to have a target like Zach Harrison back. I mean, just talk about Zach Harrison, what you've been able to see, what you've heard, and just the kind of player he is just moving forward.
I mean, you just got to see him. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete. Defensive-wise, I mean, he pretty much shuts down his whole side of the field. He's a defensive end. You can't block him with one person. You have to get him help. So it puts a lot of pressure on offenses and stuff because you gotta figure out what you're gonna do with that extra man and then compensate for it. And then offensively, I mean, he's fast where you got to have a really fast linebacker to stay on him, but he's big too, so you can't. Most of the speedy guys are small. So he can just leap over everybody because, he's 6'6". He runs like a,
deer.
Like a deer. I mean, he's just out of there. You know what I mean? So, and he's a big physical guy. So, it's going to take more than one person to bring him down. So, like, you got a game plan for him. You have to bring your A game with him. Like, it's just no way around it. Like, he's a nightmarish matchup for any team that comes across him.
Again, one of the top players in America. I do feel like this is a game changer because we don't know how good Olentangy could have been from the beginning of the year or how good they can be with Zach Harrison. So for the remainder of the season, I just feel like teams are going to have a problem if he's healthy and he can play. Some other guys I want to mention last night for Westland real quick. Preston, Irene had 114 yards and a touchdown. That was big for Preston. And also Mark Roberts for Olentangy Orange had 100 yards and a touchdown as Olentangy Orange gets the victory over Westland. That was the first game in our pick six. And again, man, hey, look, a lot of people like Zach Harrison. Just to end on him real quick, they like him at defensive end. I mean, people think of the Myles Garrett and Yvonne Millers and things like that. I also think he could be a top college tight end. The size and the speed, you haven't really seen anything like that as far as just high school athletes moving to the next level. I mean, he's one of a kind. So maybe some tight end is in his future as well. So we'll keep an eye on him going forward as well, and Olentangy Orange as they get the victory last night. So let's move on to game number 2 of the pick six last night for the COHSS, and that was Westerville Central versus Gahanna. Both of these teams needed this game bad, okay? Gahanna they're coming off basically 2 weeks of last play or last second, plays to get themselves in a position they're in right now. And as far as Westerville Central, they started off really hot. LeBron Davis, the quarterback, we all know, putting up a lot of good numbers. And also defensively, they have Dante Hunter, the Purdue commit. But I think, the talent level around some of those guys are starting to kind of come to the surface. Gahanna has talent. We didn't know how good or bad they would be this year, but they're in it. You know what I mean? They are in it. They get the victory last night, 14-13. I saw Gahanna play against Dublin Kaufman. Dublin Kaufman looks really, really, really good against them. But Gahanna, I feel like, is getting things together. They're figuring some things out. And as far as Westerville Central, they had the big game against Pick North, 38-0. Now they come back again in this tight win. What are your outlooks for Westerville Central going forward? Can they bounce back and get themselves? They were just ranked number 9 in the state. Can they get back to that, to that level?
Yeah, I believe they can. I mean, they have the pieces. They have a good leadership with LeBron Davis. They just have to figure some things out offensively. I think the game last week with Pickerington North, they kind of maybe lost their identity. They have to go in. Somebody's going to have to step up and figure out how to lead these boys to where they need to go, because they have a solid group.
Yes.
They have the talent in the right places, but from what I've seen, they just haven't had that one person to step up and lead them.
They need that one breakout playmaker. They do.
Yes.
They do need that one breakout playmaker. But they've got a quarterback, they've got a leader, and they've got somebody on the defensive end that can make plays. So I definitely think that they'll be around throughout the rest of the season. Let's talk about Gahanna for a minute. A big victory last week. They come back, they get this victory. They needed this victory. What are we looking at for Gahanna moving forward? And is this just a surprise team to me?
Well, I told you last week when they had that battle with New Albany.
Yes.
Gahanna is not a team to sleep on. They're going to come hard. They're going to come and they're going to fight to the fourth quarter. They're going to keep going and going and going. And they're well prepared. They have a great coaching staff over there that keeps some boys, in line, in shape, and everything else. They're prepared. So they're ready. So they're ready for that battle. They're going to come in there and they're going to fight.
And they have a great running back, so they can always kind of shrink in the game. Justice Harris, they can pound the ball, they can run the clock down, and as you see, they can score points when they need to. But last night was a tough physical game, 14-13. Gahanna gets the victory. So I just want to, like I said, it was kind of an unknown. They lost the quarterback Mike Lowry, who went to Pick North. They didn't know what they were going to have at that position. They knew they had a good running back. They knew they had some pieces, solid defensively. They lost a couple guys last year, but Gahanna's right there, and going to be making then either one way or the other, good or bad, on somebody's season. And they took one from Westerville Central last night. So let's move on, man. Let's move on in the pick six, man. I want to get to some of these other games, man. Hartley versus Clinton Massey, okay? Hartley, we already know, one of the top teams in the state, state champions, more state titles than anyone in Central Ohio when it comes to counting those up. But they play a tough schedule. They've already played the defending champions from last year in Division 5, Willersburg. Last night they played Clinton Massey, another team, very tough, very physical, always in the hunt for state titles. And last night, Hartley takes the loss, 34-31. I don't think this is going to derail or affect them. They're going to keep doing what they do. Coach Birchfield, a great coach over there, he knows how, to gauge his team as they move forward. They've got a running back like they always do. Jalen January over there now carrying the load. Big loss for them last night, but I know you think Hartley will be able to bounce back.
Oh, yeah. They have championship DNA. Hartley's used to being making a deep run in the States. So this was a great test for them. This is kind of like a pregame to what they're going to see in the state game. So this is just preparation for them. They have, they do have the good leadership. They have, like you touched on, Fleming and January running back. They have the pieces. So now they just have to, they're just looking to be battle tested now, so then they can go in and be fully prepared.
I totally agree with the battle tested, and we'll talk about battle tested a little bit later with some other teams. I totally agree. They don't worry about the regular season. They're going to win some. They're going to lose some. They're going to get to the state playoffs, and they know what they're going to have. Miles Fleming, the quarterback, very fast. He was part of a relay team at Hartley last year that placed in the state 4x1, I believe it was. So he has some wheels. They said one of their fastest players that they've ever had at Hartley, which is saying something. Fast people at Hartley. So he's going to be a problem. Jalen January, again, carrying the load for Hartley. And then Clinton Massey, man, if you know about that football out there, the rural area, they keep all their kids together. They play from second grade. They know the plays. They play a physical brand of football. So it doesn't surprise me that this game was close and tight. And, Massey was ranked number 4 in Division 4. Hartley was ranked number 9 in Division 3. So, an even matchup, and that's how the game kind of played out. So watch out for Hartley moving forward. They're going to be around. Let's move on into pick 6, man. These last three games, man. We're going to start with the fourth game on our pick 6. Eastmore versus Walnut Ridge. We were here last night. Again, games were delayed. The weather was bad. It cleared up last night. It was a jam-packed house at Walnut Ridge. I'm talking about cars parked on the street, basically. It was a great look. A lot of people, a lot of support out there. But let's talk about the game. Walnut Ridge came in with major hype. Isaiah Murphy at quarterback, Keon Magwood at receiver, Sincere Staples, Julius Wood on the defensive side, and others, okay? They have been rolling this year. And then Eastmore. Eastmore played some teams, played Westerville Central, has played a pretty good schedule coming into it. And last night, man, we got one of the best games, one of the great games I've been to in high school. Maybe not with, the top names and talent, but as far as a football game, it was absolutely fun and spectacular. You were there, TJ. Let's talk about it, man. 26-20, Eastmore gets the victory over Walnut Ridge. How fun was it last night?
Man, that was a heavyweight fight. That was, it's shocking the way it ended, but both teams played, from quarter to quarter and give it their all. That's a heavyweight fight, man. That was two really good teams going at it and not wanting to give an inch. You seen defense, you seen some great spectacular runs. Man, it was everything that you wanted in a game.
It was fun, man. Look, I talk about this kid every week, man, because I just think that he is a great player, and he comes from a family of great athletes. But Savon Edwards, 133 yards last night. He carried Eastmore, but it wasn't that. You have up on your Twitter page, and they can follow you at, what's your Twitter handle?
Ohio League Prep, TJ.
Hey, you got the play up there that I think turned the game. Walnut Ridge comes down, they score, they tie the game up at 14. The next kickoff, Cameron Long, 90 yards, back to the house to kick off. It was amazing. It shocked everybody. Speed to burn. hits a hole up through the thing, up through the gap, bam, and he's gone from the 50. And it was spectacular, man. Talk about that play. What do you think it meant? And was that the turning point right there for the game?
Yeah, it was. I was actually on Warner Ridge's sideline, and when they went down and scored, I mean, it was amazing. And then, I told you, Cameron Long is a sleeper for Eastmoor because, like, everybody's worried about Savon. Savon's probably my favorite back in all of Central Ohio. And there's a lot of great backs there. So, no shade to any other back, but, Savon, is really, really tough. Everyone focuses on Savon. You focus on Harris on the outside. And then next thing you know, you're like, all right, I'm not going to, we're not going to mess with those guys. We're going to make somebody else beat you. Well, Cameron Long will beat you. And he went for 85 yards to the house, 2 cuts, and was gone. And, he's the fastest kid on the team. Yeah. A lot of times he's the fastest kid on the field. He might be running a 4.2, 4.3. I'm not sure. But once he gets it and he makes that cut, he's gone. And you're just standing there looking around like, what the heck just happened?
It was amazing, man.
What just happened?
It was fun. But that wasn't the only big play. Warner Ridge comes back and ties the score again. They come back and tie the score again on a play, but I want to get his name right here to shout him out. It was a crazy play. Kalen Anderson catches the ball, makes a couple men miss. They can't get him on the ground. He's running towards the end zone, fumbles the ball. He fumbles the ball into the end zone. Javaris Leach of Warner Ridge recovers it, ties up the game at 20. They missed the extra point, so the game is tied at 20 with a minute left. Just enough time for Eastmoor. They drive the ball down the field, some catches, some runs. They get a couple penalties. It's a couple penalties at the end. The Eastmoor sideline is going crazy. They get a warning. They back them up. And then with 5 seconds left to go, Eastmoor is going to attempt the field goal. And it was just a heads-up awareness from Roshan Harper, Ro Harper, what they call him. They missed the field, the play. The snap goes long. Harper picks up the ball, runs it into the end zone with no time remaining. Eastmoor wins the game 26-20. It was bananas, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much like, special teams just won this, on either side. You couldn't get any kind of field goals or anything up, so it was whoever was going to make a play. Heck, if somebody could have made a field goal, that would have won the game.
Yes, just that one extra point, absolutely.
Yeah. So, it shows you, how that's so important. It could make or break a game, especially to this magnitude.
Eastmoor played the full game, offensively, defensively, special teams. We didn't get a big game from Keon Magwood. Isaiah Murphy was under pressure all night from the Eastmoor defensive line. They played a great game. Eastmoor, they had the energy. They had the crowd was there. Shout out before we get off of this game. Shout out, and I don't know the individual name. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but the alumni of Warner Ridge, whose press box was not in the best shape, and some of the other things around the school, they came together as volunteers. They fixed up the press box so that the media could have a good place to stay to watch this game. It was just an awesome job by all the people who were involved with that. I want to shout out my man Juwan Zamore, who's one of the alumni of Warner Ridge. The 4841 is what they call it. And they all came together. They have a great community and family backing there at Warner Ridge. So that was something awesome that they did, that they got out there. But as far as the game, great game by Eastmoor. Shout out to Roshan Harper, man. The play of the night last night, as far as I was concerned, man. Picking up that snap, running into the end zone, and walking off with the victory for Eastmoor. It was crazy. Go ahead.
Hey, guys, before we move on any further, since we're at the bottom of the hour, let me just take a sec and thank everybody who has tuned in so far this morning with us and has left us comments. And if you're just watching now, it's the COHSS, Central Ohio High School Showcase, live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. starting today, the new time. I want to thank Sean Edmondson for tuning in, leaving us comments. Says Savon Edwards is a beast, flat out. Sean all day long checks in and says, Cameron Long, little brother, go EA. Samantha Walker leaves us the googly eyes. We appreciate that comment. And Sean with another comment says, Lassiter made big throw after big throw, talking about the pick 6 games you guys are talking about right now. And Sean also says, shout out to both teams. It was a City League instant classic. So thanks again for all the comments, and keep them coming in if you guys want more shout outs.
Thank you all for checking in. I appreciate all of that. Sean is right. It was a classic last night.
And then Sean Long Sr. chimes in last second here and says, great game last night.
It was fantastic. 11:30, everybody got out of there. It was amazing. But let's move on. We got 2 more games to get to. We got a big interview coming up near the end of the show. It's gonna be a good day today. Listen, Pick North came off the huge victory versus Westerville Central, 38-0. They were ranked number 4 in the state. I was talking to a lot of people. They were saying, hey, man, like, Pick North is rounding in the form. They are going to be a major problem. And some people even whispering about, hey, yes, I think they can take Pick Central. But before we get there, they had to take on Dublin Kaufman, Ethan Brown, and you know him, Mike Drennan Jr., Mike Drennan II on Twitter. My name Donut. You know about him. And he had one of those games, a Reese's special, carrying his team last night to a big victory. Dublin Kaufman gets the victory 31-28 over Pick North. They do it on the road. Dublin Kaufman, they lost a couple players. They lost a linebacker. They lost their starting running back over the last couple games. So they knew they were going to have to lean heavy on Drennan. They did that last night. A lot of carries, over 100 yards, and just shocking. But Pick North, not to be outdone, Mike Lowry, over 350 yards, touchdowns. They make a tremendous run in the second half of the game. They were down 31-14. TJ, what is going to be the fallout from this game, man? Dublin Kaufman is going to move way high up in the rankings. Pick North, people are going to start to question it now. What you think?
This was, for Dublin Kaufman, this was a statement game. I think this was one of them games where Kaufman came in and was like, hey, we here. Nobody talks about us. Everybody talks about Eastmore and Pickering and Central and North and everything, but we have players too. And it's about time that y'all start recognizing us. And they made a statement with their great defense. And, I mean, like I said, like Donut and and Ethan, yeah, they came to play. So, yeah, it's time to give them their just due. I mean, they're going to be ranked high now. They're going to have that target on their back. So, be prepared, man. And I'm sure they are. They're prepared to play every week. No, look, and it's well earned.
Pick North has weapons. They had over 450 yards total offense. Mike Lowry, like I said, over 350, had about 360. He's got weapons all over the field. Chris Scott, last week our guest on the COHSS. Tyler Foster at tight end, other receivers, backs. But I think what this showed is defensively, Jack Sawyer, he's going to have to get that group, you know what I mean, and get them back together, kind of get everything back in focus. But they have more big games coming up. They can't let this loss beat them twice, but you have to be impressed with Dublin Kaufman. Mike Drennan got in the end zone twice last night. They're going to be looking for people to step up now in the face of some injuries. And I just believe that, like you said, it was a statement game, but can Dublin Kaufman take the momentum and carry this, right? And carry this and finish out the rest of their season and head into the playoffs on a high note.
Yeah, they definitely can because, because now they're getting the games in that that's going to prepare them. So, I mean, like we stated earlier, now they're battle-tested. Because Pickerington North is not they're not a team to sleep with. You already know coming in that they're going to give you their best punches, and that was another heavyweight fight. Heavyweight fight.
It was.
And I'm just sad that I couldn't see that, but I mean, I'm not mad at the game that I was at, but I would have loved to see that one also because I know both teams was really coming out to play, and there's loads of talent everywhere on the field. So it would have just been a blessing to be able to see that game.
Yeah, big time prospects. Yeah, last night I was just mad it wasn't 6 of me, so I could have been everywhere. I mean, that was the only problem with last night. But a fantastic game. You will hear more from both of these teams, Dublin Kaufman and Pickerington North. They're both going to be two of the teams that are going to be fighting for that elusive state championship by the time we get down to the playoffs. But last night, definitely, I can only imagine playoff atmosphere, what it was like there at the school and just the students on both sides. I'm sure it was amazing. But let's move on. We got one more game, and then we got our guest that was at this game. Pickerington Central, defending state champions, got their first state title last year against a team who has 2 state titles in Hilliard-Davidson. And it lived up to everything that everyone thought it was going to be. And I wasn't here either, okay? But overtime, 17-14, Pick Central gets a fumble on the first play of overtime, able to kick the game-winning field goal and get out of Hilliard-Davidson with a victory. These teams both came in ranked highly. Pick Central 3rd, Hilliard-Davidson 5th in the state polls, and it lived up to that kind of matchup of the rankings. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think that Hilliard-Davidson was going to play them this tough. I thought Pick Central would kind of get out and, just kind of, not necessarily cruise, but have enough to get through. And I am so mistaken about what Hilliard-Davidson is bringing to the table. And I'm just impressed with both teams. And I'm sure, almost positive, we're going to be hearing from both of these teams as we get throughout the end of the year and into the playoffs. T, what you think, TJ?
Well, Davidson is one of them teams that they'll rock you to sleep. It's, they're satisfied with getting 3 yards a pop. And they'll just keep coming at you. And then they just move the sticks. And the next thing you know, they didn't ground it up like 10 minutes of clock. And they only went like 50, 60 yards. And they just wear you down. A lot of their games is just, unless they're having like some breakout runs, like they're not really going to pass the ball. They're just going to keep grounding it out. And I think that was a different look from Pickerington because they're used to these fast-paced games where, quarterbacks is getting up and down, they're throwing the ball and stuff. They got playmakers everywhere. But, yeah, so it was a different animal that they had to experience out there because, Davidson, they, like I said, they slow the tempo down and they work to their pace and they make you play their game.
When we talk about playing their game, the old saying, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Last night, the running back for Hilliard-Davidson, Caleb O'Connor, led Davidson with 90 yards on 30 carries. It couldn't be more of the 3 yards and cloud of dust. I mean, mathematically, it was just perfect last night. So we know Coach Brian White at Hilliard-Davidson, he loves to run the ball, like you said, rock you to sleep. I've seen Hilliard-Davidson in the past, man, on these kind of runs. They will literally pass the ball 2 times, 1 time. And a perfect game for them would be if they didn't pass the ball at all. That would be the perfect game for them. But on the Pickerington Central side, we know loaded with talent, man. Dwayne Carter and Michi over there, Demetria Crenshaw, and Terry Sumwell, and Carter Johnson, and our guest that we're going to have coming up, Jameer Jackson. I mean, they are loaded. But last night, this game was played in a phone booth. That's what Davidson wanted to do, and Pick Central was able to find a way to win. They were down in the fourth quarter, 14-7. We were scrolling through, looking at it last night. Is this going to be the night? Is Davidson going to pull it off? But Pick Central finds a way. Just talk about their pedigree and what you see for them the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's done in preparation because, like I said, because playing those teams, like your offense don't really get a lot of opportunities. So they're on the sidelines getting cold. So, so the best thing I think their staff did was just, kept their guys ready and hungry. So then when they did go in and get an opportunity, to make plays and do what they needed to do, they was able to. That's just what it comes down to. Because they have the athletes and the playmakers and everything, but, you just got to keep them warm so they're not on the sideline getting all stiff and everything from watching 3 yards every play.
Right, absolutely, man. So, a big game last night, number 3 versus number 5. Number 3 gets the victory. I wouldn't be surprised if this catapults Pick Central to the number 1 spot in the state rankings next year. And for Hilliard-Davidson, I would look for them to stay in the top 10. They didn't nothing from last night says that they can't play with a team like Pick Central and be one of the best teams in the state. So that's what I took away from last night's game. So I just want to wrap it up for the Pick Six, man. TJ Walters from Ohio Elite Prep Magazine. Follow him on Twitter. You can see that Cameron Long kickoff return touchdown last night from the Eastmore Walnut Ridge game. He's got some other stuff on there as well. Thank you for joining me for the second week. You know what I mean? I appreciate you coming through, man. And that's it for the COHSS Pick Six. I'm my man TJ Walters from the Ohio Elite Prep Magazine.
All right, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
And what we're going to do now, man, is got state champions in the building, man. And that's always a fantastic look. And again, we're going to talk to this young man, Jameer Jackson from Pickerington Central, running back, who was part of that incredible game last night between Pick Central and Hilliard-Davidson. We're going to just talk to him about that game last night, about what it was like to win a state championship last year, talk to just about the coaches over at Pick Central and his teammates. It's a great group of young men. I was able to spend about 4 minutes out there with him the other day at practice. And without further ado, running back, physical running back. If you don't know, I want you to go get on this Twitter. We're going to show you some stuff here today too. One of the best running backs in all of Ohio, from the defending state champion Pick Central Tigers, coming off a huge win last night against Hilliard-Davidson on the road. Joining us today on the Central Ohio High School Showcase, Jameer Jackson. What's up, man? How you feeling today, man?
What's up? I'm feeling good.
Tell me, I mean, let's I want to get into the game last night, but then I want to go back and I want to talk about you, and we're gonna get into some stuff, okay? But just take me back last night, because I know it's still fresh on your mind and everything. You go into Hilliard-Davidson on the road. This is one of the best teams in the state. The two teams have a history of close and tight games. 2 state titles for them, 1 for y'all. You guys are trying to get your second one this year. Just talk about what was the preparation in the week going up into a game like this, and then how did it manifest last night?
Well, during the week, we had usually our practices are like 2 hours long. But, I mean, this week we've been grinding it out. We had practice usually we're getting out of practice at like 5 o'clock. This week we're getting out at like 6 o'clock. We're coming out and we're tired, we're exhausted, but I mean it's all for a greater purpose.
Absolutely.
So it's like we were working hard this week. We obviously knew we were gonna come in, have a tough game. We knew we had to come in defensively and stop them quick and get our offense back on the field, so we could score some points. And defensively, keep our defense off the field so we can keep them fresh, because they were going to pound the ball. Like you said, their running back had 30 carries. So, yeah. He had 3-yard carries. They were just going to try to keep the ball and grind the clock out. So, like, in the third quarter, I think they actually took 10 minutes off the clock in one drive, actually.
Wow. 10 minutes.
10 minutes, and I think they ended up going up 14-7 on us in that drive.
So that's almost the end of the third quarter, right?
Yep.
You guys got 1 quarter down to touchdown. The game's going fast, right? So, I mean, let's go into the game a little bit, right? So we get to that point, 14-7, into the third quarter. You guys are looking at each other like, hey, we down. But you guys have been through so many big games. I mean, we talked about it. Defending state champions. Okay? So you've seen it all. You've played, big games against Pick North and other teams. What is everyone saying in the huddle at that time? Like, okay, we got a quarter left. Let's go do this. Give me the vibe in that huddle. Well,
I mean, at practice, we go through a lot of these situations, game time situations. We'll go through practice and have like 2-minute drill. We'll line it up 1st and 20, just so we're in this situation already. We know what this is, and we play big games like this. Like, we're definitely gonna be ready for this. We definitely are prepared for this. Our coaches put us through everything. They get us prepared, right? And they always tell us never panic, because we're gonna pull it off. We're in big games like this. We're made for this.
Absolutely.
Like, this is exactly what we're made for. So I mean, like last year, even with COHSS Tech, we played COHSS Tech down in at Toledo at the Glass Bowl. They were their state champs. We ended up winning that game 24-21. And we were actually down with a minute left in that game. So I mean, we're made for this, and I think we definitely gonna pull these games out, because we don't panic and we know what we're capable of.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a great feeling to have. It's an incredible feeling to have. I know you don't want to make a too much of this though. Being down with a minute left, right? That can't always be fun. It's cool to pull a couple of them out, but I'm sure the bigger victories are a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more fun sometimes.
Definitely.
So I want to talk about you for a minute, man. Okay, running back, Pick Central, physical style. I love watching you when I pulled up your huddle, just seeing some of the runs you make, the aggression. Okay. But I'm going to go back a little bit. Talk about growing up, man. What were some of your favorite sports? Has it always been football? Have you always wanted to be a running back? I mean, just tell me, about growing up athletically, sports-wise. What were some of the things you like to do?
Well, growing up, originally, I ran track. I started track in 2012, and I stopped running in 2015, going into my freshman year of high school. I played AAU basketball all the way up until I think like 6th grade. I wasn't really too fond. I didn't like it that much, but
I'm looking at these clips, man. That's not a basketball player right there. That's not a hooper. I know hoopers, man. That's a football player right there.
But yeah, at first I felt like I started falling in love with track a lot, and it was just like the drive it gave me. Like it definitely changed me mentally as a player, because track is. It's
no help.
It's no help at all.
It's all you.
Yeah, and it just mentally it brings you into a different level, because I would say at least 90% of track is mental, and like being able to keep going when your legs are dead and you gotta just keep going. So I mean that definitely helped me a lot with football.
Yes.
To be able to have the mental state to like just know I can keep going and just keep fighting it out. So
hey, I love track.
Yeah.
I'm a track guy, so no quorums here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Track is that sport, no doubt. And like you said, it's I feel like track and football kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because speed kills. You can't teach speed. You can always get faster, but that is always something that it's definitely a benefit to have, to be fast and just know how to run. A lot of people don't even know how to run.
Yeah.
Their arms is everywhere, and the form's not tight. So definitely. But so I want to go back and just looking at some of the tape there that we just put up. Your style, it's not you're not looking to run away from anybody. You know what I mean? You look for the contact. You know what I mean? And I know at a school like Pick Central, where you guys run the ball so heavily, I know that they love having you for that. But what I want to talk about is, I kind of talked to you off air a little bit, and you were talking about your mentality defensively. You know what I mean? And on these clips, we get to see you block and carry the ball, but you're also a linebacker at heart, right?
Yeah. Well, all my life growing up, I've been playing defense and offense. But I feel like younger, I was more in love with the defensive side of the ball more than offensive. And then it's like once I got with track, they just wanted the ball in my hands. Like, so it's like, because I can make a play. Like you said, speed kills.
Yeah.
So you feel me? That style has changed up a little bit now. I don't look for contact, but I'm definitely not gonna shy away from it.
Absolutely.
So I mean, like I can make you miss definitely, but if you're in my way, I'm definitely going to try to get you out of my way.
Absolutely, man. So again, man, just looking at some of your runs, the physical nature, man, it's just amazing. So one of your favorite players growing up, I talked to your dad about this. Okay, he said that Steve Atwater was somebody, and you're young. Yeah. So to the viewers out there, we're talking about somebody that was played and gone before you were even around, right? And for him to be that kind of influence, when you look at your style of running, it brings that into your nature of the physical style, the pounding that you give the opponent. Okay, talk about just your dad, your relationship, and just that Atwater, him telling you about what kind of player he was and showing you the old film and stuff on that.
Well, that's who actually turned me on to Dirty Steve Atwater, my dad. Because at first, my first few years of football, I really didn't know too much about him until my dad actually told me about him. And then it's just like once I started watching it, like watching his highlights and started seeing how he actually played, that's when like the physicality in me just kicked in. It's just like I love being physical. Like I like to go out there and just hit somebody in their mouth and just show them like.
And there's the wheels right there. There's the wheels. We see you can get up and go. A long touchdown there. against the Chicago Phillips team.
Yes, sir.
Hey, that was an impressive game. Not only by you, it's just a lot of big time talent on that field that day. I want to talk about some of your teammates, man. You know what I mean? Some of the guys that you have shared this state championship with, that you guys got last year. You're never going to forget this. It's going to be something you carry on for the rest of your life. Let's talk about offensively. The guy who hands you the ball most of the time, Demetri Crenshaw, young Michi, what they call him out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just talk about the kind of player he is. Talk about his development from last year to this year, where he is, what you've seen in him as he's developed and becoming one of the top players in all of Ohio.
Well, if dealing with Meech, you first thing you should know, like he's a very humble kid. So it's like he gets a lot of attention and stuff like that, and he's never been a kid to where it's like he's gloating about himself. He always puts people before him. He puts the team before him, before anything. But definitely, he's a great kid. He always got a smile on his face, always joking around. He brings the energy to the team. He's a great leader, definitely. This year, from last year, I guess teams really thought like he was more of a like rushing quarterback. But this year, I feel like we're putting more of our passing game together, and he's actually throwing the ball really well this season. Definitely.
It's something else to worry about.
Yes, sir.
He's already a threat on the ground.
Yeah.
Now you got to worry about him hitting you in the air too.
Yeah, because he definitely will.
Great player, great player. You brought up about Michi always having a smile on his face.
Yeah.
Another guy that always has a smile on his face. Every time I see him on social media, just in person. But this guy, when he gets on the field, he turns it on. He goes into a transition, and that's Dwayne Carter, man. The defensive tackle end, going to the University of Duke. Just talk about the kind of player he is, the kind of leader he is. Every time I see him, he's embracing others and, making everybody just, part of the team and the community. Just what kind of young man is he?
Well, dealing with Dwayne, you gotta know, like, with him, he's gonna make sure like your priorities come first. So it's like joking, and with him, like joking and stuff it can come later. But he's always first. He's a leader, and he's a great kid. Like he's a very good athlete. Like 300 pounds. He carries the ball for us. Like he goes out and lines up at receiver. He can play defensive line, defensive end, tight end.
And like you said, 300 pounds, but smell.
Yeah.
Like in shape.
Solid.
Like, yeah.
He can do it all at that big. So, I mean, like, Dylan, he's a great kid, definitely, too. Like, always smiling on his face. He's always happy. He's always trying to push somebody to be better for us. Like, he's always leading us and just putting the team in a better spot.
Absolutely. One more guy I want to ask you about, man. One of your seniors on the team, Terry Samwell. He's done it all, man.
Yeah.
Track and field state champion, 4x400 meter relay state champion. He had a big play for you last night, recovered the fumble that led to the game-winning field goal. Just talk about being around him and just a leader that's, along with Dwayne, as seniors, and just talk about what he brings, because he's not just a football player. He's a track athlete, and I'm sure that he kind of judges you guys about being the fastest on the team, doesn't he?
Yeah. With Terry, he's one of those guys that just kind of makes you want to work harder. Like, he's always out there trying to find a way to make somebody be better, no matter who it is. It could be one of our starters, or it could be one of our JV players who's in practice helping us go through the game plan for the week. He's just another dude, keeps a smile on his face. He's always happy. He looks to make everybody better. He's definitely a hard worker, and he's going to get the job done.
Absolutely, man. I'm definitely happy. I've seen him shine so much on the track. You know what I mean? I'm just happy to see him getting that shine on the football field too. So I want to ask you about your head coach Jay Sherritt. Man, he's been at Pickerington he is Pickerington, right? Yes, basically. So just talk about like being around a great coach like that, what he's able to instill in not only you but the other young man of Pickerington Central. And I mean, you guys have had a history and a legacy of guys playing on the next level and the next level. And just what are you able to grasp being around a coach like that?
Well, being around Coach Sherritt, he's definitely a great man. He definitely is. He teaches you not only how to be a great football player, but how to be a great man. He teaches you not how to be selfish and to like not put yourself in front of the team. He always tells us that when you put yourself in front of the team, your bad things might happen. But he tells you when you don't and you're not playing selfish, you're gonna play out your skin. You're gonna have performances that you would never expect yourself to have. And I feel like that's very true. He just teaches us, like he has a lesson for everything. Honestly, like he teaches us how to be great men, and like
absolutely.
not only with football, he teaches outside of football. He teaches great life lessons, and he definitely looks out for his players. He's just a great guy overall.
Absolutely,
outside of football and in football.
And that's what you want. You know what I mean? It's a lot of great coaches that sometimes fall short in that. But if a great coach can teach you how to be a great man, then he's doing his job, and he has a great team to show for it as well. So I think we're gonna wrap up the interview, man. But I want to give you an opportunity to shout out some of your friends, some of your family. We talked about that. I want you to make sure we say what's up to Mom out there. I know she's watching. So let's start with Mom. Let's make sure we get her in, and I want to get to some of your teammates and just what to look forward to and see if you guys can get this repeat state championship. But go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I want to shout out to my dad, Mark Jackson, my stepfather, Quincy Story, and definitely my mom, my number 1 fan, my biggest supporter. She does everything for me. I want to shout out my coaching staff because they always make sure we're good. Like I said about Coach Sherrod, not only in football but outside of it. They always check on us outside of school, during school, make sure our grades and everything is on point. They don't give up on us. They're like another family behind it. And I also want to give a shout out to my football team and our O-line because nobody really believes in our O-line.
Thank you.
And they've been having a big year this year.
Thank you.
They've
O-line.
stepped up.
Go ahead, man. What's the names of the O-line? Give me nicknames, anything. Shout out to O-line real quick, man.
We got Colin, Zach, Casey, Lampron, Alec, Beckmeyer, all of them, man. Just as a group, they're great dudes. They've really stepped up to the plate. This year, we played against D-line, where they got D-linemen going to Power 5 Division I schools, and they've just dominated the game against them. And it's like before the season started, nobody really believed in our offensive line. Nobody thought we would have, because last year we had a great offensive line, like the best you could ask for. But this year, nobody really believed in them because 1, they're young. 2, their experience level is not that. It's just not there. But I mean, they've been playing great this year. They've definitely stepped up.
Awesome.
No matter the experience level.
Anybody else?
Definitely my sister. I want to shout out my sister Raven. I want to shout out all my siblings and all my family, definitely for pushing me to be a better person, not only athletically but as a man. And they always kept me on the right track. They always keep my mind right. They definitely are keeping me doing good.
Absolutely. Jameer Jackson coming off the big victory last night at Hilliard-Davidson. Running back, one of the best in the state for Pickerington Central. You hear a lot of names. This is one I want you to keep an eye on. Moving forward. When it's 3rd, when it's 4th, when they need those tough yards, this is the man right here who picks them up for Pick Central. Jameer Jackson, great player. You might even see him on some defense later in the year if they need a big stop. He does it all. With that, we are coming to the conclusion. Hey, I want to thank you again, Jameer, for coming through the COHSS, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Good luck the rest of the season. Chance for 2. Chance for 2.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, with that being said, I'm your host, Derrick Owens Jr. It's been another fantastic morning, another fantastic Friday night. Again, Pick Central over Hilliard-Davidson, number 3 versus number 5. Dublin Kaufman with the upset over Pick North. Number 10 over number 4. Okay? And then last night in the city, man, a great event, a great turnout. Eastmore on the last play. Shout out Roshan Harper. The snap goes bad on the punt. He picks it up, the awareness, runs it in to the end zone. It was pandemonium on the Eastmore bench. I want to thank my man, Producer G. I want to thank everybody who checked in. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. We'll be back next week. It's going to be even more big games. We're going to bring you some more interviews. It's the Central Ohio High School Showcase. It's the COHSS. Thank you for checking in. Be good.